There's no undeserved success in business. If you want to get elite results, you first need to become an elite performer. You need to deserve the results you get in life. This is why self-development is absolutely crucial for you to win in business, because anyone can start a business, but only a few can actually grow it and eventually exit it. So the key is not what you do, how much marketing, how much sales you know, but instead how consistently you can do the right things until you become successful. Anyone that is telling you that self-development is a scam or doesn't work or you don't need it does not have your best interest in mind. Because truly, the better you become, the easier the results you want materialize in your life. But most self-development does not work. I agree with that. Because it is taught the wrong way, it is not specific enough, and it lacks the real substance that delivers long-lasting results. This video is about what is the better alternative and how you can start today to getting the changes that you need in order to win. Welcome back. I'm Castillo, founder of Selfmastered Performance Institute for entrepreneurs. We help them scale without any procrastination, overwhelm, and burnout. And today's video is about how to make self-development great again and work for you. Because there's no such thing as a winner at the Olympics that didn't consistently train years to deserve that outcome. No one just shows up in the Olympic and wins the gold medal, right? And that is intuitive in athletes, but very few entrepreneurs understand that they are business athletes, that they need to take care of themselves and develop themselves just as normal athletes would. The better you become at developing yourself, guess what? The better your business will do. Because your business is just a reflection of your own core self. But how to make self-development work for you? Because as I was saying, most self-development advice doesn't work because it is not systematic enough, doesn't provide the right perspective, and above all, it doesn't tackle the real problem. Now, let's first start with the beginning. Since when have humans been interested in self-development? And this is very important. Well, I would say that the start of it all is in the 1870s with Nietzsche, which is, and if I write it the wrong way, I typically mess it up, so hopefully I did. I think I did. Nietzsche was a German philosopher who first postulated that there were two types of men. One were the normal men, and then you had the Ubermen, Ubermensch, which is the Uberman, basically the Superman, right? And these guys, in his philosophical work, in essence, were those that were able to create their own reality, that they were able to function at a much higher level. These days, we will call them elite performers. And he was the first philosopher that first described elite performers. And this is before the official birth of the science of the mind, which we now call psychology. In these days is when the first kind of big psychologists who call themselves psychologists, like William James in the US, started, right? So Nietzsche was the first person who postulated that there was a better way of living, that there was a superior version of a man or a woman that would get better outcomes because they were better themselves, right? But this was just a philosophical concept back then. It was nothing systematic. There wasn't a real study of the characteristics that made them special. It wasn't until the 1950s in which we have Abraham Maslow, which I'm sure you've heard about. This is the psychologist who postulated the hierarchy of needs, which is in essence a pyramid in which you fulfill different types of needs one by one until you reach self-transcendence. Why is this relevant? It is relevant because it was the first psychologist who conscientiously went and started asking elite performers in the American society back then how they were able to get results consistently, right? And I think he went to talk to Einstein. He went to talk to Eleanor Roosevelt. He went to talk to other elite performers in different fields in order to understand how did they end up becoming who they were. And he realized that all of them had some sort of system. There was a system of self-development. They all had a way of becoming better consistently. The system was unique to each one of them, right? So the things that made Einstein were of course not the same, the things that made Eleanor Roosevelt, but there was a system that they have curated over their lifetimes that consistently guaranteed self-development. And this is when the first self-development programs start, and as the psychology, neuroscience, and behavioral science, which are the scientific pillars of self-development, evolve, the more self-development started evolving. But this is relevant because he already proved in the 1950s, we already knew as a species that there were systems that allow humans to consistently become better. So never believe someone who says that self-development is a scam, because it is not. Now, most self-development advice does not work. And these days, we pretty much have a clear idea of what is the difference between average and elite performers within a business context, right? Which is the one I typically cover because we train founders and CEOs in performance training, right? Which is a scientific way of looking at self-development. And in this case, we typically see that average performers, right, which are untrained, and let's try what is the alternative, which is elite performers. Elite performers, which are trained in performance. If you look at the literature, but also throughout all of my years coaching folks, you see that the differences are very clear from the start. In terms of goal setting, average performers typically have vague goals. In terms of the orientation of the work, average performers are task-oriented. In terms of vision, overall vision, average performers have no vision. What else? In terms of hours of focus per day, average performers have, according to latest statistics, about 2.5 hours per day in discipline. So average performers are undisciplined. On the contrary, elite performers have clear goals, are outcome-oriented, have a vision, can focus for 6+ hours per day, and are disciplined, among hundreds of other KPIs that we typically kind of track at Selfmastered, right? So these days, in 2024, we know that there's a way of being that is typically on training performance that has mediocre results in business, and this is where everybody starts, but you can get to elite performer status quite quickly if you have the right tools and frameworks. And you can start having clear goals, be outcome-oriented, have a very clear vision, work for 6 hours a day, at least in pure focus and flow, be disciplined, be consistent, be in control of your emotions, make great decisions even under pressure, control your stress level, sleep well. All of those things are an outcome of personal development. Anyone can get to this side, but very few people ever get. And this is what I'm going to be sharing next, because I'm going to give you the 4 reasons why that is the case. Now, if you're seeing any value of the video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so your algorithm on YouTube improves and you get more cool videos like this, and will help us reach more people. All right, so why is the specific ways why average performers don't become elite performers? Or in other words, why self-development fails? Well, it turns out that self-development, traditional self-development, has 4 big problems. First of all, it has become an end in itself. People do self-development just for the sake of doing self-development. But self-development really should be a means to an end. You should develop yourself in order to achieve something. Just randomly reading books and watching YouTube videos and going to personal development conferences and such without an outcome in mind, without a clear destination for your efforts, is just mental masturbation. But this is how most people typically approach self-development. They have no vision that sustains that self-development. So they don't really know what to do with it. And when you don't know where you're going, any wind is favorable. That's a Seneca quote. So the first step is to understand self-development for what it is, a tool, something you leverage in order to become better at something specific that can be validated through an outcome. Right? If I want to improve my focus, if I want to become more disciplined, if I want to remove limiting beliefs, for what? In order to grow my business, in order to be a better father, in order to make better decisions, in order to build a better family, whatever the things that motivate you are valid, as long as you understand them as the underpinning of self-development. If you just randomly watch YouTube videos, then nothing is going to change, right? But that is not enough because, and this is also the reason why, you may be reading books and you may be conscientiously researching and doing all the YouTube kind of viewing and stuff, but then you slip back to your old behaviors. Then you eventually end up falling for the same patterns. You cannot sustain progress. You cannot consistently get your performance high and keep it high. Why? Because you have no way of validating whether you are really becoming better. There's no way of knowing if you are really going to achieve something with that self-development, right? So that is the first problem. Now, problem number 2 is that it lacks specificity. And this one is huge because typically self-development is very general, right? It couldn't be otherwise really in content. So it is generic solutions to generic problems, but no one ever transformed himself into an elite performer through a generic solution. You are unique, N equals 1. What you need to do in order to get to the next level is different to what I need to do. We're all different. So if we're looking at blanket self-development advice, guess what? It's probably not going to work. Or what's even worse, it's going to frustrate you because you start to think that this is just random, mental masturbation. So how do you do it? Well, make it specific. Make it unique to you. Find your own unique bottlenecks, the things that you uniquely need to get better at, because we're all systems. And if we're working on the wrong things, we're attacking the wrong bottleneck, the system is not going to improve. So you have to be specific to what you need right now and only what you need. But the problem is that oftentimes what you need is not obvious. And that leads me to the next point, which is doesn't attack the root cause. The problem with something being non-specific is also that it typically is very easy to conflate for the wrong advice. So you have to be attacking and solving the right bottleneck. Like for instance, let me give you real examples from our coaching practice, right? So first thing we do with our clients is we run them through a lot of analysis in order to understand exactly what are the bottlenecks that are preventing them for getting to the next level, right? And we typically would see folks that can focus for only 2 hours a day in the beginning, and they tell us that it is because they lack discipline, right? So lacking discipline is a sign of lack of impulse control. In other words, you have not yet learn how to control your subconscious behavioral tendencies. And that is the hypothesis that we started to work with. But then we realized that the real problem wasn't a lack of impulse control, was the fact that this specific client had developed something called ADT, attention deficit trait, which is a non-genetic condition that is created when you stimulate your brain like crazy. When you doom scroll for 5 hours every day and you are putting demands on your cognitive infrastructure and your capacity to pay attention and make decisions on, that eventually overwhelm you so much that you end up creating neurological damage. So we found out that the problem was not discipline. The problem was that the brain literally could not focus, and we had to train the brain to focus again. Now, our client had read tons of books on discipline. He had read all the books, even bought courses on discipline, done all sorts of things to fix a discipline issue, but he was still not disciplined. Why? Because it wasn't attacking the root cause. It wasn't solving the right bottleneck. See how this works? We also had a client who was having terrible results in business, and he thought that it was because he did not have the right strategy. And this is the hypothesis we started working with. But then it turns out that the problem was not that he lacked a strategy. The problem was that he was going through a divorce. And when you're going through a divorce, your emotional level is totally out of whack. You handle strong emotions, and that affect your day-to-day. And since the businesses we have are a reflection of our internal state, his internal state was a mess because he was going through a very complicated phase in his life. So what did we do? We trained his emotional management skills. And that is what improved the business, not the strategic advice, which we could also provide. See how this works? So if you are lacking discipline and you go and watch 1,000 videos on discipline and you read 3 books, you may have a little bit of results, but typically the issue is something deeper, right? And finally, the last reason is that it lacks accountability. And this one is huge, right? There's a quote by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, which is the godfather of flow, as they call him. He is the first psychologist that postulated the existence of flow states, which is this non-ordinary state of consciousness in which you feel your best and perform your best. He said that the mark of an expert is the ability to give himself feedback. Now, this is one of the core distinctions of elite performers. They can give feedbacks to themselves and keep themselves accountable. But the average person who is untrained in performance still cannot do it, which is why you need some sort of accountability mechanism in order to get better. The good level is having some sort of app or software or something that helps you stay accountable, that allows you to move in the right direction and allows you to course correct over time until you reach a destination. But the best way is having human accountability, is having people keeping you accountable. And when you have self-development that is really a means to an end, so you know that there's something you must achieve in order to prove your transformation, that is very specific to you, is targeting the right bottlenecks, the things that only you need, right? So it's not blanket advice, but also it is targeting the right bottleneck. So if you have a discipline problem, but the cause is that you have ADT, well, guess what? We need to solve the ADT and then maybe work on a discipline if it's not elite either. And if it lacks accountability, and if you pair specificity with attacking the root cause, with having a goal in itself, and then having accountability, someone that is looking over your shoulder, that is helping you understand how to get better consistently, that is guiding you towards the outcome you want. This is how you make self-development work for you. This is the solution, right? And this kind of self-development, it is what I call peak performance training. Because once you are consistently becoming better, you start operating at peak performance. You start really getting more done than anyone else every single day. And this is not magic. It is a natural outcome of a beautifully engineered process that anyone can follow. So never believe those that say that self-development does not work, that you don't need it, that it's just a scam or whatever. No. You absolutely need it because it is the only way in which you are going to scale your business, right? You can go over 1,000 marketing courses, but if you cannot focus, if you cannot be disciplined, if you're constantly battling with self-doubt, you are not going to achieve much, right? So what is the ideal protocol? Let's just drive this point home. What is the ideal self-development protocol that cannot fail? Right? This cannot fail. Self-development protocol. This will work for you 100%. All right, cool. How do we do it? Right, first of all, we need to understand what is the goal, right? What is the goal? What are we trying to achieve? Why is this meaningful? Why do we need to fix the discipline issue? Why do we need to fix the focus stuff? Why do we want to get better at managing our emotions? That is step number one. And two is understand yourself systematically. So what is the thing that you know is not working? And this is what I call by map out weaknesses. The things that are really preventing you from getting to the goal, right? So what is the stuff that is preventing you from getting to the goal? Then three, find the root cause. Find the root cause. The thing that really matters. Nothing else matters except what really matters. Then once you have the root cause is solve the root cause, and then by chasing an outcome, right? Maybe it's just me, but I'm very big on proof. I want to make sure that I know that I'm winning, that I'm transforming to my best version of myself, that I am an elite performer. How do I know? Because I'm chasing an outcome. And then step number 5, get accountability. And that accountability can be a coaching program, a mentorship, an app. It can be anything, right? It can be anything. Whatever actually keeps you really going towards the right goal. And at some point, achieve it. You achieve the outcome and you have become a higher ever functioning version of yourself. Now you're here, right? And then you set a different goal and you move up and you are a different, better person. Then you set a different goal and you move up. All right, not 3. All right, anyway, so this is the point. This is how you make self-development work for you. So never believe that self-development is a scam or whatever. Just understand how you do it right. First, you map out the goal. Then you map out the weaknesses, right? Then you understand how to find the root cause. Then you solve the root cause by chasing an outcome. You get accountability until you get to the outcome, and then you achieve it, right? So for instance, let's say that you want to grow your business to 50K, right? So you're at 10K. Your agency, let's assume you're an agency owner. Your agency is at 10K, you want to get to 50K. What's the first thing you do? Well, you first set up the goal, 50K. Then what is the weakness? Well, you may realize that the weakness is that you're only spending 1 hour a day doing outreach every couple of days, right? So what is the weakness? The weakness is discipline, and in this case, focus. What is the root cause? Well, you run a root cause analysis. This is what we do at Selfmastered, right? There's all sorts of testings that you can do to test the real cause of a lack of focus and discipline. And we like to test it from the psychological and neurological sides. Then once you understand how to solve it, then you solve the root cause by chasing the outcome. All right, if I am doing would say 1 hour every 2 days, let's do 2 hours every day, right? Let's do 10 hours a week of pure outreach in full focus. Get accountability, use an app to track yourself or someone that keeps you accountable until you achieve your goal. That's how you do it. You don't need to learn more about outreach. You don't have a marketing problem. You don't have a systems problem. You have a personal development problem that is that is showing in your business, right? This is how elite performers do it. Because we all have weaknesses. And the goal of life is to consistently map them out, solve them, achieve new things, and ascend in the consciousness ladder. But that is something we'll discuss in a different video. If you saw any value from this, please like the video so we can get to more people. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? If there's any doubts that you would like me to address. And of course, see you in the next video. Until next time.